You can't run from a nightmare. Welcome to I Hope You Suffer.
I'm going to start this week's by saying that I have regrets. So many regrets.
Alright, this is episode 17. We watched The Evil Within from 2017, and immediately, was this worse than Nudist Colony of the Dead?
It wasn't harder to watch, because it was fascinating, at least. It wasn't, like, painfully slow like Nudist Colony, but everything else about it was horrific.
Man, I don't know. Like, I want to say yes, but this movie was better to look at.
It at least had a budget, and some actual direction.
This one didn't have fucking Ranger Big Butts, though.
That's true. There's no grind hole.
Oh, this is like this is so far the first one we've done that I've just been like, this might be the worst movie I've ever watched. Like, this is now like very close to like toppling Nudist Colony of the Dead.
It's one that's going to stick with me for a while. I think I might have nightmares about it.
I guess I don't even know how to fucking talk about it because it's just like incomprehensible throughout most of the movie.
It's incomprehensible, and the subject matter is just awful.
Yeah.
It's just...
So, this movie was a movie.
That pained sigh of, how do I even sum this up without sounding like a real asshole?
I feel like we could just call this movie this episode the Oh God or the Sigh episode, because I have a feeling that's what's just going to be.
Heavy sigh.
Yeah. It is was directed by Andrew Getty, who... Of
the oil fortune.
Yeah, it was like the son of like an oil tycoon, who spent 15 years...
And endless amounts of cocaine.
Yeah, making this movie. He died in 2015 of a meth overdose 2 years before it was even released. He
spent between $4 and $6 million of his own fortune on this movie.
Yeah, the backstory of this movie is way more fascinating than the actual movie.
The last 20 minutes are pretty insane.
Yeah. So he was inspired to make this movie from nightmares he had as a kid, because he originally was going to call it The Storyteller. And there was like a quote on Wikipedia from one of his friends that was, when he was young, he would have these really powerful, sick, twisted dreams, and they were so shocking to him that he didn't think they came from him. He was convinced the idea that it could be a storyteller who was creating these dreams, hence like the title of the movie. He made like pretty much all of the stuff in this movie inside the house was filmed inside his mansion. And like I guess like a majority of the budget was spent creating the effects and like the camera. Like, he created his own kind of unique camera equipment, which is kind of fascinating in and of itself. But like the scene where they go to like the Chuck E. Cheese style place,
oh my god, that's horrifying.
He spent so much money making those robots that like are the band. And
they were atrocious. I don't know if it was intentional or not, but they haunt me.
I feel like they're probably supposed to be like kind of cheesy looking just because of what they're, you know, it's based blatantly like a Chuck E. Cheese style band. But like he built a robot, like this octopus robot that played drums that was programmed to be able to play drums.
Fucking Christ.
Like taking 15 years to to make a movie in and of itself is crazy, but the attention to detail that he had, like making it, is insane.
I want to have way too much money and be incredibly eccentric.
Yeah, and to be able to hire like just
an octopus,
fuck ton of like, you know, like what like real actors to be in your movie, that because like
the Boondock Saint that no one liked.
Yeah, Sean Patrick Flannery.
Yeah, I'm not going to call him that.
Yeah,
I'm going to call him the Boondock Saint.
Well, so to get into the cast, you had Sean Patrick Flannery, who plays John, who was in the Boondock Saints, but like I wrote down that he was in Saw 3D because that's the important movie he was in.
I totally forgot that.
Literally every single person in this movie, except for basically like Michael Berryman, were just like TV actors. Like they are in just fucking every TV show from like 1990 to like current. The main actor is Frederick Kohler as Dennis, who's the one thing.
Should we just should we get this out of the way? Should we tell him the?
So he plays a mentally handicapped character, but he is also probably like in his 30s when this movie was being shot, and like is playing what I guess is supposed to be like maybe an 18-year-old. I
don't know. There's that one really cruel quip by the woman that Sean Patrick Flannery is dating that implies that he's around 30.
Oh, is it? I must have missed that. I don't know. I wrote down that he was the little kid, one of the little kids in Mr. Bomb. Like, that was his first role. Which is awesome. Continuing the, like, Brianna Brown, who played Susan, was in... apparently was in Night of the Living Dead 3D, which I have not seen, but I assume is terrible. I kind of want to see it based on the fact that I assume it's terrible. But Dina Meyer, who played Lydia, who is absolutely a garbage person in this movie, was in Saw 2, 3, and 4.
Jesus.
And Piranha 3D.
Oh, alright.
I just feel like this dude saw like the Saw movies and was like, I need all these people in it.
This movie's been in development so long, it probably predates the Saw movies, right?
Yeah, it has to. Because it would have 15 years, and so
came out in 2017. So what? 2002. Doing solid math here. I'm guessing, I Hope Suffer.
I'm thinking he started 2000 because if he spent 15 years working on it and he died 2 years before it came out, so maybe 2000?
Yeah, Saw didn't come out until 2004.
Yeah, so 2002 at the latest is when it started.
Jesus.
Michael Berryman is in this movie and is just credited as Cadaver, which Michael Berryman... everybody should already be aware, but from like The Hills Have Eyes is probably his like most
little known actor, Michael Berryman.
Yeah, if you're like listening to a horror podcast, I really hope you know who Michael Berryman is. And I don't even remember who this character was, but the character of Pete is played by Tim Bagley, and I only wrote it down because he was in Seinfeld. I don't even...
This week's Seinfeld connection.
I can't remember exactly what episode it was, but I just wrote it down because it was a Seinfeld connection.
Yeah, I don't remember that character at all. I don't remember the name Pete ever being uttered.
Well, there's like all those like characters when like John and Lydia are just like at a restaurant, and you just come across like characters that have like no bearing on the plot
name
shit.
tags.
And, yeah. So, trying to dive into this movie is going to be difficult because the first 10 minutes are a bunch of just fucking gibberish over like weird garbage CGI effects, and
it's the most stupid fucking like faux intelligent rambling nonsense.
Yeah, and like it
it's the shit I would try and write to like make people think that I know what I'm like writing about and sound smart.
It like I had no fucking idea what was going on, other than like all I could put together was that it's sort of what this kid's dreams are like, I guess, but like it went on for so long that I legitimately thought the entire movie was going to be like this, and I was just like,
I was concerned. I was like, I can't handle a whole movie like this. Oh my god.
Like, I almost texted you to be like, we gotta pick another movie because I don't know if we can actually talk about this. Like, this is just a bunch of fucking nonsense. Like, all I can really remember of it, and that was stuck with me, is there's a shot of, like, a face where, like, the eyes are mouths. And then
like, turns to his mother, or whoever it is.
And, like, there's, like, a weird, like, carnival or some shit they're at. And, like, other than that, I could not tell you fucking anything that happened in the first, like, 15 minutes of this movie.
I think there was also... I think it was the same general scene. He was talking about, whatever evil thing or whatever, and it shows, Michael Berryman's character, like, mounting him while he's in bed.
Yeah.
What the hell? And he starts stapling a zipper onto the back of his head, on his back, and unzips him, and Michael Berryman crawls inside of him and zips himself up.
It's
just a strange thing.
There are some, like, legitimately fucked up, like, ideas in this movie, or, like, scenes that in a better movie would be cool, and then just, like, in this, I was just like, I don't know what the fuck is happening, like, and, like, some of the effects are so, like, weird that they almost become kind of impressive. Like, there's a scene later with, like, a giant spider that, like, kind of, like, I guess, like...
Dabber spider?
Yeah, that, like, sucks the air or some shit out of, like, Dennis, and, like, the effect of, like, his body, like, shriveling up is so bad that I was kind of like, alright, I kind of like that.
It has this really cool thing that it does where it goes from, like, very realistic kind of effects, and it will just suddenly fade into claymation, and then warp back to, like, reality. I thought was kind of cool.
Yeah, like, you could definitely tell that, like, money was spent on the effects of this movie.
Money went into this.
And, like, the entire ending looks like it cost a lot of money. It makes zero fucking sense, and I don't know what the hell's going on in it, but, like, it looks expensive.
That's all I know that's happening, is that money was being thrown around.
Well, like, because if I would have just, like, stumbled across this, like, the movie poster or whatever on, like, Amazon, I would have been like, oh, this just looks like some garbage movie made, you know... Like, I would have saw the date, I would have saw the way the poster looked, and I would have just been like, oh, this is just, like, some garbage rip-off movie somebody made for, like, $800,000 or whatever. I would have never imagined this was, like, an $8 million movie or some shit, and, like, I don't know,
painstakingly crafted over 15 years.
Yeah, I can... It's a legitimate shame that this dude died before there was anybody could make, like, a documentary about this.
Before I could ask him any goddamn questions about what was going on in his brain.
I would watch the shit out of, like, a 15-year documentary about the making of this movie. And, like, I could see somebody making a documentary of just even just the interviewing the people that were there when it was getting made would be kind of fascinating. Like, I would love to hear the fucking Frederick Kohler's reaction to him playing Dennis in this fucking movie now.
Oh, fuck.
Yeah, so we should say that the characterization of the mentally handicapped kid in this movie is
Not great.
real fucking
Might be
sketchy.
surprised about a horror movie from 2002 not handling that with any sort of care.
There is a quote later on that I'm going to read verbatim that is real dark. And like,
So the reveal is so awful.
yeah.
So those first 10 minutes he's talking about, where there's the narrator and it's all like super sophisticated, like faux intelligent fucking ravings or whatever.
It's just a bunch of
cuts-
gobbledygook.
It cuts to the narrator like sitting in a park and he's like, well, you'll have to adjust to what my real voice sounds like. And then him in the park, he speaks. And
I forgot all about this.
The fucking awful goddamn stereotypical mentally handicapped like speech pattern coming from this kid. Like the stutters and shit, and it's just like, Jesus Christ, are you serious right now?
Yeah, it's that. It's like the arm pulled up against his chest. Like,
Oh my god, it swings for the fences with every awful fucking thing you could think of.
And like, I will say, like, the actor isn't necessarily bad. It's just just offensive portrayal, because like the scenes where he's switching back and forth while talking in the mirror, like he pulls off really well, and it makes it super creepy when he switches back to like his the mirror version of himself. But like, yeah, it's amazing that like the only person that would let this happen would be a rich person.
Over 15 years, no one was like, hey man, no.
I really wonder if like that the Frederick dude was just like, I'm gonna get so many fucking awards for this. Like, I'm
my god,
tackling something dark, and it's not good. My first 4 notes are just variations of I have no idea what is happening.
I think the first 3 or 4 text messages I had texted you were all just Jesus Christ.
It's... So basically, after you get through all of this fucking nonsense dreamscape bullshit, you get introduced to Dennis, and who I thought was his fucking dad or stepdad until the end of the movie. But what is actually, I guess, his brother, who is John.
Yeah.
Boondock Saints.
I thought that it was his dad too until the end. And I was like, wait, what?
All of my like notes about him were just like something about dad or like stepdad, and then I have a quote that I was just like, what the fuck,
brother?
Brother?
Like it's like Metal Gear Solid, brother.
You basically get introduced to them, and they're fucking fighting about John wants to put this fucking mirror in Dennis's room, and Dennis doesn't want it there for, I don't know, some fucking reason that I don't remember or care to remember.
Boondock Saint got rid of his hamsters to put the mirror in there. Because...
God damn it, fuck this movie.
They wanted the house furnished so they could sell it. So that's why he was putting this big-ass mirror in Dennis's room.
I forgot
and Dennis didn't want it for completely legitimate reasons. Like, this asshole's getting rid of his hamsters, and Dennis is like, if you put shit in my room, then it's not my room. You're making it your room.
Have you seen the episode of The Office where, like, they flash into a thing about where Michael was building, like, a hamster fucking city throughout the office?
No.
Like, they cut to it where it's like he's building this fucking, like, just elaborate maze of, like, hamster tunnels. And that's all, like, I could think about anytime I saw, like, you see them throughout the background of his room constantly. Where he's just got these, like, elaborate fucking, like, hamster tunnels everywhere. That's all I could think about was that episode of The Office. But I forgot all about the hamsters, so you just brought it up.
And this scene really escalates too because I don't remember what exactly it is that happened, but Boondock Saint grabs Dennis by the arm and like puts him in a fucking armbar. Like telling him to have the mirror in his room. And it's like, oh my god, this gets worse and worse.
Like, I will say, this movie is not good, but it's also kind of worth watching because it's fucking insane. It
is literally the most nutbag movie I think I've ever watched.
Yeah, like
I could not believe what was happening at any given moment in it.
If you already are spending money on Amazon Prime, like, definitely watch it because it's fucking... You're like, your jaw will be dropped the entire fucking movie because nothing in it makes sense. The portrayal is just fucking absolutely terrible.
Out of outrage or shock or what the fuckery, like...
So... After Dennis apparently calms down and decides that the mirror in his room is fine, he starts telling jokes to the mirror. Because a good portion of this movie, a good portion of the movie is just Dennis talking to himself, to his mirror self. But, like...
yeah, spoilers. The mirror is evil.
Yeah. He's telling jokes in the mirror, and at one point... He tells a joke, and he says something along the lines like, "Oh, okay, please stop throwing panties at the stage," which legitimately kind of made me laugh. During all of this fucking nonsense, some lady from, like, social services shows up, and I don't think there's any sort of real backstory as to why she's there. She just kind of pops in.
She just kind of shows up and is like, I heard you lost your temper at Dennis again.
I'm guessing, like, maybe she's keeping up with him because of Dennis, but, like, I don't know. Like, it almost seems like he loses his temper with Dennis and then she's there within minutes. It does not make any sense, but
she's a mirror person, so...
She's basically like, your life would be better if you just, like, let Dennis come stay at, like, a home or something, and, like, John doesn't want that to happen.
Because he clearly hates him, like, throughout this whole movie.
Well, like, it's portrayed that he hates him until you get to the end, and it basically seems like he hates himself because of, like... Well, okay, so it's fucking... Spoiler for later in the movie. Basically, you find out that Dennis was actually, like, a genius, and something happened, and, like, he got, like, hit in the head by John from, like, falling down the stairs or something.
Yeah, like, John was mad at him and pushed him down the stairs.
And it basically, like, made him mentally handicapped.
Yeah.
All of it is John's fault. And I get the feeling that it's just, like, John... It's supposed to be portrayed that, like, John really... hates himself, but he just kind of takes it out on Dennis, but that's not the way it seems until the end of the movie. It just seems like John is a fucking dick to his, like, mentally handicapped brother.
That's why this guy is the unfamous Boondock Saint, because he's a terrible actor.
And because he's not on The Walking Dead.
Also that.
Probably a big portion of why. God, I'm trying to figure out what any of these notes mean. I don't remember any of this fucking movie.
The notes probably make perfect sense. It's just that the movie is fucking nonsense.
There's a scene of Dennis, like, drawing and talking to the mirror.
There's no, like, plot. This isn't, like, next plot point. It's just, there's this scene, I guess. Yeah. Like, the next scene, whatever.
My note is Dennis interacting with Mirror. Mirror is obviously evil.
Sounds right.
I feel like that's just that you could pretty much boil down this entire movie to Dennis interacting with Mirror. Mirror is obviously evil. I don't know. There's something like Dennis is like drawing and interacting with the mirror, and I think this is like he starts. Like, I think the thing I texted you when I was watching the movie, that I said that this movie was pretty much built around interesting shots. Like it seems like this guy had ideas for like what would make cool shots, and then wrote a movie around it. Because there's this cool, like a pretty like legitimately cool scene of like Dennis laying on the ground with the mirror over himself, and the camera is stationary, but it's set up so that you see Dennis kind of from his waist up, so you see his face, but then the focus changes every time Dennis is talking, and then when the mirror is talking, like the mirror moves down and you get like the focus of mirror Dennis talking, and then the mirror will move up and your focus is on Dennis. And it's, like an interesting shot, an interesting way to like shoot that scene. And there's another scene like later where like two people are walking in that spiral staircase that like is shot from the top of the staircase, but people are at blatantly different levels, but the camera's like spinning as they're walking. Like it's, I don't know, there's like interesting shots in this movie, but it's all...
Yeah, there's a lot of super cool camera work and a lot of interesting shots and angles that you don't see often in other movies.
It's just of garbage.
Yeah, it's all wasted.
At some point, I can't remember who says it, but somebody calls Dennis a big dribbling mongoloid.
His mirror version says it to him.
Yeah,
and then right after that speech, he is at the top of the stairs, and Boondock Saint and Terrible Lady come in from like their date, and he yells at Boondock Saint and is like, "You just think that I'm a..." What was it?
Big dribbling mongoloid.
Yeah, big dribbling mongoloid. And Boondock Saint is like, "Well, you're not big, but you do dribble and you are a mongoloid." Just like, what the fuck?
This shit happened
right now.
This shit happened, and this is maybe 25 minutes of this hour and a half, 40-minute movie, and I was just like, fuck, I gotta spend another like hour plus with this. Something happens where like Dennis just gets like pushed into a room of mirrors. And
yeah,
it's just another thing.
I blacked out or something. I don't know why that happened.
Yeah, it's just like another thing that like is just basically set up to like be a cool visual. But I think this is where you get your first shot or first non-dream nonsense of like Michael Berryman. And like Michael Berryman, for the most part, maybe has a minute 30 screen time in this whole movie.
And
but he's also on the poster.
Like, he's not like in any kind of costume or anything. He's naked Michael Berryman, but painted like a blue-gray.
Yeah.
He's like Michael Berryman trying his worst to be Gumby.
Like, it's Michael Berryman if he was in like zombie makeup from Dawn of the Dead. Where they're... I don't know, there's some weird shit where, like, in this mirror room, like, Michael Berryman, like, quote-unquote, kills Dennis. I don't even know if this is supposed... it's blatantly not a dream. Like, it's... My next note is just more dumb mirror arguing.
A lot of mirror arguing in this film. I'm calling it a film.
Essentially, all of this bullshit leads up to Mirror Dennis convincing, like, real-life Dennis to go out and kill a cat, which he does, the cat is, like, the most interesting character in this, or the only likable character in this movie.
Far and away, because it, like, hops up and is like, meow, and that's all it does before getting murdered violently.
I guess the ice cream girl is sort of likable, but I don't know. The cat is definitely the most likable character in this movie.
I forgot about that.
Yeah.
That scene is weird.
Yeah. Dennis, like, kills this cat and comes back and is, like, covered in blood or whatever and starts talking to, like, Mirror Dennis. And
I like the nonchalance of Dennis kills this cat or whatever.
Like, I can't even muster up, like, excitement for this fucking stupid-ass movie.
Dennis skins this cat and staples its fur to his face.
He's like, he just like kills the cat and then immediately starts arguing with like Mirror Dennis of like, why did you make me do this? And then it just kind of cuts to a scene of Dennis in like another room that he won't let John into, and he's like making something that I don't. Does it ever really fucking like shown what he was doing in that room other than just like hiding the bodies in their refrigerator?
I assume that is where he was making the giant cadaver spider that shows up at the end.
Oh, I guess. I don't know.
That's the only thing I can think. But John confronts him, and he has like 4 or 5 books about taxidermy, right?
Yeah.
And he's asking him like, why you got all these books about taxidermy, buddy? And he's like, I don't remember what his excuse was. Do you?
No. I legitimately, like, I was going to rewatch this again today, and I could not force myself to do it. Like,
I do not have enough weed to do it.
I think I've said it before, like, I'll watch it, and I'll take notes, and then usually, like, the day of, I'll watch it again as just, like, a refresher. And this was, like, this and Island Claws were, like, the 2 movies that, like, I could not force myself to rewatch. Like, Island Claws just because nothing happened in it, so I didn't really need to. This one was just like a fucking chore to sit through.
I was fascinated, but just because I could not believe anything that was happening before me. I can't believe that anyone would do any of these things in a film.
Like, I don't know, like, this is one of those movies that I kept pausing just to see how much time was left. But it's also at the same time, it's like you said, like, you kind of can't stop paying attention to it, because just crazy shit is constantly happening. You cut to a scene after, like, Dennis is just not letting John into this room, of Dennis and Lydia out to dinner, which there's a bunch of fucking, like, you cut to, like, John and Lydia out to dinner and talking to other people periodically that, like, I don't understand why those scenes were there. I
have no idea.
Like, none of the other people play into this movie whatsoever.
John talking to his therapist.
Yeah.
That means nothing.
I like the stuff with him and Lydia, like, eating dinner and kind of, like, arguing over Dennis fits in, but then, like, just other characters show up and you're just like, who the fuck are you? What? Yeah. But
it's just how awful they are.
You get, like, the explanation that, like, Lydia won't, like, John wants Lydia to move in with them, but she won't do it because of Dennis, which is real shitty.
Yes. So that dinner scene, he's talking to Lydia about, marriage and kids and this and that, and then he points away, and she looks, and he puts a box on her plate, and you think that he's going to propose, and she opens it up, and it's earrings. And she's clearly super upset. And I texted you, and I was like, wow, this guy's a real sack of shit.
This was my favorite scene in the movie.
She's upset that, he's talking about children and this and that, and she's not only upset that he didn't actually propose, but that he won't get rid of Dennis because she wants, like, a baby child, and I think she says something along the lines of, I want a small child, not the 30-year-old masturbating kind. And then I texted you again, was like, never mind, this lady is a fucking piece of shit. Holy hell.
I, like...
this. Oh my god.
The fucking, like, ring fake out made me laugh so hard. And it's not intentionally it's not supposed to be funny at all. But, like, the fact that he would do that and then her reaction, like, I fucking laughed so hard.
Oh my god.
Yeah, they are... Nobody in this fucking movie is likable at all. Except for, like, the cat and Michael Berryman.
Yeah, because Michael Berryman says, like, 2 words. And
does he even? I don't even remember him talking.
I think he says a couple of words somewhere around the middle.
I take it back. There's a cameo later that we'll get to that I legitimately lost my mind because I kind of fucking actually I liked this actor, but he just has nothing to do in this movie. After all of the, like, you cut back to Dennis at home, and he is falling asleep to a show about, like, spiders. And, like...
Oh, yeah. That's weird.
The show, like, says something to him that I don't remember. Like, it's blatantly like he's falling asleep and going into, like, this, like, whatever world, like, weird dreamscape nonsense. But, like, the show, like, starts saying something to him.
It starts, like... I think it drops a hard R word on him.
There's a lot of that. There is a lot of that.
Spider crabs are better than that.
And is this the scene where, like, the spider, like, attacks him? And, like, I think this is where, like, Michael Berryman...
Yes, it sure shows up and, like, pins him on his bed.
Yeah, and it, like, just, like, deflates him. And, like, this weird, terrible-looking effect, but is actually kind of cool because it looks terrible. Like, it...
Don't ever want to be deflated by a spider.
It's one of those things that, like... you would have seen in, like, a Jason and the Argonauts or, like, whatever type movie, like, that kind of, like, claymation. That, like, I love that shit, even though it, like, pretty much, at, like, today's standards usually looks real terrible, but I love it.
It fits in well with this movie, with it all just being, like, very hallucinogenic, like, feet-scream nonsense. So it's, like, hard to tell, like, what is going on here?
So... after this shit happens, it cuts to Dennis, you know, talking to Mirror Dennis again. Mirror Dennis has, like, upped the ante and is trying to convince Dennis to go out and kill a child. Which
naturally
he does, and it is real bad. Like, it's just... It's portrayed... like, the portrayal...
Oh my god.
Well, like...
oh, I just remembered that scene in its entirety.
I wish this was on...
There's another one where I texted you, and I was like, he just charged at the kid on the swing with a knife.
And it's like... It's made worse by the portrayal of, like, this dude's portrayal of, like, a mentally handicapped person, of, like... He's holding the knife in, like, the hand that's kind of, like, up, dragged near his chest. Oh, I wish this was like a fucking video cast. Cause
oh my god, my face for the past 5 minutes is just... ugh.
We're getting... So he goes and he kills this kid, and you never really see... like, you don't see him kill the cat, you don't see him kill the kid. It's just like, he kind of pounces, and then it cuts to...
The violence is the thing it takes the most care with, this film. Some fucking how.
No, okay, until the end, and, like, a fucking real gruesome shit happens, but, it cuts back to, like, you see a scene of him throwing, like a small body into this refrigerator, and he comes back up to his room, and is, like, arguing with the mirror about, like, why are you making me do this, like, whatever, and... I'm going to read this quote verbatim. It is...
Fuck Christ.
It is...
I'm so sorry, everyone.
It's fucked up, but it's like, it shows you the mindset of this movie. And so, Mirror Dennis is trying to, like, convince regular Dennis that he kind of needs to keep killing people. And there is a girl named Susan who works at an ice cream shop that apparently Dennis has a crush on. And so Mirror Dennis says, quote, she wouldn't fuck you with someone else's pussy. She wouldn't fuck a retard. How revolting. But a serial killer? Ah, how exciting, how intriguing, how mysterious. You know what makes you so unattractive to in Susan's eyes? She thinks you couldn't hurt a fly. She thinks you're insignificant. If you killed her, she'd die screaming. She'd die in agony, but she'd die wet between the legs. Unquote. I had to rewind and watch that like 3 times because I was like, what the fuck?
We're both literally face palming right now,
It's
discussing this.
It's bad. Like, and the mirror acting of it is like, he's not like, the mirror is kind of somewhat playing mentally handicapped, but somewhat playing normal, as opposed to like, you know, regular Dennis's like overacting of mentally handicapped. And so it's just, it kind of makes it even worse. It's just real gross. So this...
Gross is a good word for it.
I think there was like more shit that kept, like, I think this quote like kept going, but I just like, at that point I was just like, yeah, I'm pretty sure that's enough.
I hope it didn't.
Yeah, and like, I know they like continue arguing, but I can't remember. I don't remember exactly what. So... after all this shit, like, it cuts to Susan at the ice cream shop, and there's a bunch of, like, dumb jump scares of, like, rats or some shit in the back room that you're supposed to think, like, Dennis is hiding or whatever. She goes out front, Dennis comes in and, like, has, like, a fucking notebook or some shit for some reason. And they're, like, talking, and he asks her to, like, write in his notebook, and then starts, like, telling her what to write, and it's about, like, weird shit about how he wants to, like, kiss her, and, like, it's fucking weird. I was very uncomfortable throughout, like, all of this.
All 1 hour and 45 minutes.
So Dennis, like, angrily asks Susan out and gets rejected. And then, like, it cuts to her going back into, like, the back room. And
to throw a towel over the dead rat that was back there.
And then, somehow, Dennis is all of a sudden super agile and just pops out of, like, the heating vent.
He does a full, like, flip into a hang down on this vent. So he's, like, hanging onto the vent with one hand and has a knife in his other hand, right? And then he drops down, and I don't think it shows him, like, stabbing her or whatever, but it's obviously...
She gets chased out front, and she runs out in the street and gets hit by a car.
That's right. Oh my god.
Because I just wrote, like, what the fuck is this? Like, what the fuck is going on? And I was just like, what the fuck is this death scene? And then, like, it's
you got Final Destination.
Yeah. And I've noticed, like... it seems like a lot of movies I've watched lately has that, like, that scene where, like, somebody goes running and then just, like, all of a sudden gets, like, hit by a car.
Cars are in.
This movie, Bride of Chucky, I watched recently, had it. There's something else I watched recently that had that too, but it's like a pretty cheap, like, jump scare kill. God, fuck.
The CG of her getting hit by the cars is top notch.
Some of the CGI that, like, is in this movie made me laugh out loud, and then I constantly just think back, like, oh, this movie was like 22 years after Jurassic Park came out or some shit. So John and Lydia kind of, like, make up after this fake engagement nonsense, and they decide that they're going to surprise Dennis, that he could, like, anything he wants to do, they will go do. And so they go to a nautical-themed Chuck E. Cheese type restaurant.
And the entire band playing is fucking horrifying. It's like the sailor, he's like wearing a raincoat, but he doesn't have a fucking face. It's like a potato with some eyes jammed in it. And he has no lips, but he has teeth. Oh my god.
And, like, it doesn't make it any better that, like, the entire restaurant is so, like, dimly lit, so everything is dark.
It looks like the inside of a boat.
Oh,
like, their theming is on point, but it's awful.
I wish this entire movie took place in this restaurant.
Oh my god.
I wish this movie
I don't know if I could handle it.
I wish this movie was just like Feast, where it all takes place in, like, the one room or whatever, or, like, one place, and it was just this fucking creepy ass Chuck E. Cheese restaurant.
I can't believe I'm saying this, but they should have replaced Michael Berryman with weird fucking boat sailor singing guy. He's far creepier.
Oh my god, I would watch the fuck out of a movie of like an animatronic band coming to life and killing people.
Oh my god.
And it's like, yeah, this is one of the scenes that like all of these robots were like created and like made like by the director for this movie.
What an incredible waste of money.
You know those things are in someone's house right now. Just like...
Oh, absolutely. Haunting them.
Every time they get up in the middle of the night, just this fucking creepy-ass octopus drummer staring at them.
I would move that sailor dude into, like, my roommate's fucking bathroom or some shit. Just go and take a leak in the middle of the night, and there's that thing on the toilet.
I hope these fucking robots were just burned after the filming of this movie.
I hope so.
Dennis at this restaurant, or like this fucking... kind of like starts freaking out or something and goes into the restroom and just straight up stabs some dude in the stall to death.
So unprovoked.
It's real weird.
I didn't even see how he got in the stall, right? Like, it looked like he just opened up the door and stabbed the dude.
And it's like, it's weird because it's like, there was no... Or I guess they addressed it. I guess the mirror Dennis is just like, oh, this one wasn't even like provoked. You know, like I didn't provoke you to do this. He
asked Mirror Dennis, like, why did I even do this? What the hell?
But after he like stabs this dude to death, and he talks to Mirror Dennis for a minute, and then he leaves. He goes out of the restroom, and a weird vision of like Susan is there, and she is nude. And, like, talking to Dennis about how basically her, like, a bunch of fucking weird, you know, smart guy nonsense about skin and how, like, her body is broken, but her skin's there, so it's keeping her intact or some bullshit. And then she immediately does, like, a weird, like, ring spider walk with her head backwards.
Oh, that's weird.
So, like, her breasts are, like, towards the ceiling, but her head is facing, like, down. It's fucking real creepy. And it's, like, it's like a hallway, like, everything goes black, and it's a hallway where it's just, like, spotlights.
Yeah, those intermittent lights, so it'll be, like, light and then dark and then light. Mm-hmm.
It's real creepy. I think her being nude doing the spider walk is maybe the second creepiest thing in this movie to those fucking robots. So like this shit happens, like Dennis goes back out and is just like freaking out. They decide to leave, they go back home. There's some scene of like Dennis refusing to go to sleep that I don't completely recall what happens, for probably more fucking bullshit. Well, it's because it's like more...
Best way to sum up this movie, honestly.
It's just more
probably
shit.
More fucking bullshit, I don't know.
It's more shit of, like, Dennis doing shit at home while, like, John and Lydia are just never there. They're at another fucking restaurant again, or, like, talking to somebody. But, there's a cameo of Matthew McGorry, which fucking ruled. He's like uncredited in it, and this was, I guess, the last thing he ever shot before he died.
Yeah.
And Matthew McGorry fucking rules. So when he popped up, I was legitimately stoked. I don't know why he was there. Like, he just shows up.
That make no sense.
Yeah, he just like attacks John and then it's just gone.
Because John walks up and thinks it's his psychiatrist or his therapist, and he's like, "Oh, hey, Preston," and the dude turns around and just obviously this guy is like, what was he, 7'8"?
Yeah, he's fucking huge. So if you don't know who Matthew McGorry is, he was, I think the character's name was Tiny. In, House of a Thousand Corpses, Devil's Rejects. He was in The Dead Hate the Living. That was like the first thing I think I ever saw him in, but that movie is terrible. But I would assume most people probably know him from the Rob Zombie movies. But he is fucking massive. And, like, I'm assuming John... John's probably like, Boondock Saints is probably like a relatively tall guy. Like he's probably 6 something. And like the shot of Matthew McGorry coming up on him, like he just fucking towers over this guy. But yeah, that was a pretty nice surprise because like he was not like listed in anything I saw. Like he's completely like uncredited in the movie.
I would also be uncredited in this film.
Yes, I would immediately be like, as soon as I saw like the portrayal of Dennis, I'd like take my name out of this.
Yeah, like the screening, be like, oh, okay, well, let's go ahead and scrub my name from all of that.
Dennis back at home, for some reason, goes and gets. I think Mirror Dennis is just like, I don't know, fucking talking to him again and like convinces him to go get this gun out of John's like room, which he's like, finds this gun in John's bed. Mirror Dennis somehow traps regular Dennis in the mirror, and now Mirror Dennis is out in the real world for reasons.
Seems like he could have done that an hour and a half ago. Like, saved us a whole lot of time. It's saved us at least one cat.
It's real weird because now, like, regular Dennis is gone, Mirror Dennis is out in the real world, and, like, so you no longer have this, like, terrible portrayal going on, and it's just, like, Dennis is kind of just a normal, like, creepy dude. Social services lady shows up again with 2 cops, one of which is one of the Sklar brothers. Both cops get, I think maybe, does social service lady get killed in this?
I don't remember.
She has to. So both the cops get killed by Mirror Dennis, who is, again, now out in the real world. The social service lady, like, stumbles across the refrigerator, and, like, Dennis jumps out of it at her. So I'm guessing,
that's what it is, yeah.
I'm guessing she dies. I just don't remember how or if they show it. It cuts back to, like, John and Dennis realizing that, like, a bunch of people they know are, like, missing. And, like, Lydia starts putting together somehow that it's Dennis killing them. This is, like, when John kind of reveals, I think, to Lydia, like, what happened to Dennis as a kid, when I had the realization that they're brothers. Lydia, for some reason, goes, like, to the house on her own. I can't remember exactly why. She, like, runs off.
I think she realizes what is going on, or thinks that, like, Dennis is on his own, like, oh my god, he's killing someone right now, because, there was a child at the house also, or something?
I don't remember.
Was that what it was? Yeah, I don't.
This is, like, this is when shit starts becoming
weird.
Like, real weird.
The movie's been pretty normal to this point, everyone. Yeah. But like, it starts getting real weird right now.
The first 20 minutes and the last
Buckle up.
The first 20 minutes and the last 20 minutes are, like, where it's just kind of, like, complete acid trip weird, while the middle of it is just gross.
Fucking weird.
Yeah.
We go from acid trip weird to fucking weird to real strong acid trip weird.
So Lydia shows up at the house. Dennis kidnaps her and, like, tapes her to a chair. Takes out a drill and drills into the back of her head. And, like, one of the most gruesome things I've seen in a movie in a long time. Like,
she's, like, still... It looks like she's still conscious and alive through it, like, kind of moving her eyes a little bit and twitching.
Yeah,
and he's, like, drilling further and further.
He drills into her head, like, I think, towards, like, the base of her skull and at the top of it. And, like, her acting of just, like, shaking and, like, her eyes pulled back.
Flopping.
And, like, the sound effect and shit is just, like, it's real gross. Like, it's not even necessarily, like, super gory. It's just like almost like
uncomfortable.
Yeah, it's uncomfortable.
Like literally everything else in this film.
Yeah. And it almost seems like more realistic than you would have expected in this movie, I guess.
Especially because it has not shown any other death on screen.
Yeah.
Except for super briefly, Susan getting hit by the car.
And so, Dennis...
Oh, but let's...
You want to take this one?
Which part is this? Is it the fire extinguisher thing?
Yes, this is the fire extinguisher.
Oh my god, I don't remember what he says, but, so after he drills holes, he picks up a fire extinguisher and jams it in one of the holes, and pulls it to, like, flush out her brains. What is it that he says?
So it's like at the base of the skull, so everything shoots out the top, and then he just says, Gesundheit.
It's so fucking stupid. I hate this movie.
Oh, God.
He should have made a whale sound, obviously.
There she blows.
Mirror Dennis? Come on.
So this is when John comes home, and everything goes off the rails.
You say that like it was on rails.
I still don't know if this is something that actually happened, or if this is supposed to be like a weird dream thing. Like, I don't know what the fuck was happening.
It's extremely unclear.
So, John comes home. I think I was writing down notes, and I'm not really sure how he gets, like, sort of, like, kidnapped by Dennis, but...
Well, he literally walks down into the basement, like he's searching the house, and he walks down in the basement and sees the chair and just sits in it.
Oh, is that what it was? Because then he's, like, glued to it somehow.
He just sits in it, and then Dennis appears on the stage or whatever, and then that's when he realizes, oh shit, I'm glued to this chair. It's the most fucking ridiculous thing. He's just, I'm just gonna sit in this basement chair for no reason.
You had 15 years and you couldn't find out, like, you couldn't come up with a reason for him. At least just have him be like, boy, my legs are tired.
That's a comfy-ass looking chair in the middle of this completely pitch-black basement.
Fucking leg day took me out today. But so, John is, like, glued to this chair, and there is a stage now in this fucking room. Dennis is using Lydia's body like a ventriloquist dummy. And delivering, like, just some fucking long-ass speech about, John being the reason he is the way he is, or some shit. Like, just a bunch of fucking crazy nonsense.
Capping the entire story, like, about how John was the one that pushed him down the stairs because he was jealous of how smart he was or whatever, and this and that.
And then, like...
There's a close-up of ventriloquist Lydia. Like, John's sitting there, like, smiling and enjoying the show.
Oh, yeah.
And the light, like, goes onto Lydia's face, and he realizes that she has been fucking hollowed out and turned into a dummy. And it zooms in on her face, and you see her eyes just, like, kind of circling around, like, going all over the place. And, like, you see fingers through her mouth that are controlling her jaw movements.
Yeah, like, I think that's when you're supposed, like, that's what it's supposed to show that, like, Dennis, or John realizes that she's not alive. Like, this isn't, like...
Yeah. It's like, oh, God!
That was kind of legitimately fucking gross, like, when you see the fingers, like, coming from, like, her mouth.
Gnarly.
This is also when you get, like, the fucking spider that he built.
Out of human bodies.
Yeah.
Looks pretty dope.
And there's, like, I think...
It bursts out onto the stage. And it's just, like, there. And it's like, what the fuck is that? And it doesn't do anything for, like, 3 or 4 minutes.
And, like... all of this shit's going on. I think... Is there, like, other people or, like, creatures that kind of just show up, like, as part of this production?
There are, like, at the end, but I don't remember them ever, like, showing up before that.
Yeah, I don't know. Basically, all of this shit's happening.
Everything else that was happening that is hard to keep track. Man, that spider thing is fucking creepy. Oh.
Like, John is in this chair. He's, like, desperately trying to get, like, unglued. Dennis is just, like, delivering all this fucking bullshit. There's some crazy spider built out of human bodies. John...
The only way it could have been creepier is if it was made entirely out of the weird sailor animatronic guy.
That was
hundreds of him.
That was just the face on it.
Oh. I'm not going to be able to sleep tonight. Why would you have done that?
John eventually gets an arm free and shoots himself. This is exactly what I wanted to do.
What? I want you all to know that reaction right there was my exact reaction watching the movie. Because out of nowhere, he finally frees up an arm, and instead of trying to escape, he just grabs a gun and immediately shoots himself. And it's just like, I don't remember him ever having the gun or anything. Like, what? It's just like, well, fuck all of this, I guess.
Like,
and
I'm very curious as to, like, how much of this was edited after the director died. Because, like, it's just, there's like...
It has to have all been him, right? Like, there's no way anyone takes over this project afterwards and what comes out.
One of the producers, like, dealt with this movie for, like, the 2 years after he died. I don't know, like, in what capacity, but... Like, there's a bunch of shit that just kind of, like, happens that, like, with all the talk, like, when, like, Mirror Dennis has that, like, whole speech about Susan, like, you're never introduced to Susan before that. And all of a sudden, it's just like, Susan's not gonna fuck you, and you're just like, who the fuck is Susan?
Why do I care?
So there's just, like, shit like that, and then, like, John just all of a sudden shooting himself, and I'm just, like, curious if there was, like, stuff that was cut out or not.
This is also where it gets super confusing, like, how much of it is actually happening in the real world. Like, is John just so overwhelmed by grief that Mirror Dennis is telling him all of this and everything else is hallucinated? Or is it that he's seeing all of this and is so horrified he shoots himself? Like, or does he just, like, they don't have a better way to wrap up everything in this movie, so they're just like, I'll just fucking have him shoot himself. I don't know.
Yeah, like, because basically John shoots himself, and then all of a sudden the police bust in and just, like, arrest Dennis.
This was kind of cool, I thought, because it's Dennis on the stage, and he gets attacked by the cadaver spider, and you see all the hands pressing down on him, like, kind of pulling him, and the camera goes from overhead of Dennis with all the cadaver spider hands on him, and it turns down and looks into the mirror, and you just see the police dragging Dennis away.
Yeah.
So the cadaver spider hands were actually released the whole time. I thought that was a really cool shot.
Yeah, like that's the one thing I would say about this movie is that a lot of it is shot at least interesting.
It's creative.
Yeah.
That's what a lot of money and drugs will do for you.
And so basically Dennis gets arrested, and then there's like a quick, like, monologue of him talking as he's in, like, a padded cell, and there's a mirror next to him that it just flashes through, like, a bunch of, like, other mirrors going through a bunch of, like, mirror Dennises, flashing into regular Dennis, who is, I guess, also locked up. I don't know, it's like a real weird ending. But you basically just get a shot that, like, I guess is supposed to hint that, like, maybe this was all done by real Dennis? I don't know.
There's going to be a sequel, and there's going to be 600 Dennises.
If there was a sequel,
it's going to be like Multiplicity.
Never watching it. I will be dead before it actually gets fucking made, so... yeah, I don't know. This movie is incomprehensible. And, like,
It's something.
somehow has like a 46 or 48% audience score. Like, people seem to somewhat enjoy this movie. I feel like a lot of people were probably just like, I like it, I understood all of it, I'm smart.
The person's a liar.
Yeah. Like, I read like a handful of reviews, I think maybe on Wikipedia or something, that were just kind of like, or, you know, like critical reviews that were just like, the movie looks good, and it's like interesting, but it's also like not great.
If after hearing this you feel compelled to watch this train wreck, because it is a train wreck, I suggest doing it with like a group of people.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to see this with like a bunch of people.
So at least you have someone that you can turn to and be like, what in the fuck is happening?
It'd be real interesting to see this movie in a theater, like a packed theater. Because I'd be curious.
Oh my god.
I'd be curious.
How many people walk out?
Well, I would be curious to see if it would be like kind of like a cult type movie where people are just like kind of interacting with it, or if it would just be like deadly silent the entire time.
It's so like yikes.
Yeah.
You know?
So like
I can't imagine it. I feel like it's more of a curiosity thing. Like it's got that insane backstory, and then it's just so fucking bizarre.
Like,
you know, that it's a curiosity piece more than anything.
I wonder if I would have enjoyed this movie more if it like wasn't for Dennis being like mentally handicapped and like the portrayal of that.
Yeah, because it,
like, just
man, it's bad.
Hire like a mentally handicapped person to play it. Like, there's people that would like maybe play. You know, you could probably hire like an actual person to play that role as opposed to like.
Let's say just scrap that angle entirely. Like that does not need to be there.
You could come up with other ways to have like John. You could have just made him just like, you know, like he's the reason like John's missing or you know Dennis has lost his arm or something. You know, like I don't know. That's maybe not better, but I like it. Yeah, like the. I think, like, when you had said something about doing this movie, like, I think I completely forgot about, like, the mentally handicapped part of it. So when I started watching it, I was like, oh, fuck. Like, this is real gross.
Like I said, I have regrets.
So, yeah, that was this movie.
It was a movie.
I don't know.
Allegedly.
I kind of would suggest watching it just because it's fucking crazy. But, like, I don't suggest watching it in the way I suggest watching, like, a movie that I think is, like, worth watching. Like, like, obviously, like, I would suggest watching, like, what the fuck did we do last week? What the hell did we do last week? I don't have a fucking blank. Like, no, New Year's Evil sucked, too. Don't watch that either.
Yeah. Santa's Sleigh.
Yeah, like
2 weeks
Santa's Sleigh or like Demons or like those are all good movies that are just kind of like cheesy.
Like I said, if after listening to this you're curious about it because it sounds like just such an insane like what in the fuck
actually
kind of thing.
Fuck this. I don't watch this movie. Get on YouTube and just watch the trailer for Handjob Cabin. Because that is fucking awesome.
Once you're done with that, go watch Ant Farm Dickhole.
So like Katie had sent us that trailer. I had not even fucking heard about it before. And I immediately was like, we are doing this fucking movie. This looks amazing. And then I was like, oh, this is just like a fake trailer, and I was very disappointed. So yeah, look up the trailer for Handjob Cabin if you have not seen it. It like, I am so fucking sad that movie is not real.
It's our new segment.
So, I guess since we shit on this movie a lot, What have you watched anything good lately to talk about? Maybe something somewhat positive.
Uh, what did I watched something the other day? I totally fucking forgot what it was already. I've been sick all weekend, so I've been like living in that fever dream state.
Mirror Kit talk
like,
to you.
Yeah, I was watching The Fast and the Furious the other night. Oh, Revenge. Revenge is what I had watched.
Oh yeah, I want to watch that. Is that good?
It's really good. It's warning, it is a rape revenge movie, so I mean, obviously that's a little rough.
Yeah.
If you can handle that sort of thing, it's really good. Obviously leans heavily into a feminist aspect with her just mauling these horrible dudes for an hour and a half.
I had been listening to. I downloaded a bunch of podcasts with Barbara Crampton.
Oh yeah.
And there was one where I can't remember the name of the podcast offhand. And it was the first one I listened to where they're with her on it, and it was it was some podcast where this lady invites people to come on to talk about movies they enjoy as opposed to their own movies. And she came, Barbara Crampton came on and talked about Raw, which
hell yeah
is fucking really good. And I think I'm gonna rewatch that tomorrow.
Yeah, Raw's fantastic.
It just made me want to watch it again, especially listening to her talk about it. And then I ended up looking up some of the movies Barbara Crampton's been in since You're Next, and started watching some of those. So I recently bought Beyond the Gates, which I'd already seen, which is pretty awesome in a real goofy way. I don't know if you've seen it. It's
yeah, I watched it on Netflix a little while ago.
I like her in it a lot, but the plot, the plot idea in it is goofy as hell.
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
But I watched We Are Still Here, which was
that movie rules.
Awesome. It was so good, and she is great in it. It's interesting, because I always remember her from Reanimator and then Chopping Mall, but then she retired for a little bit and came out of retirement for You're Next, and then immediately started doing all of these movies where she's really acting in it. It's not just oh, you're playing the kind of dumb blonde co-ed or whatever.
Yeah,
she's fucking great, and We Are Still Here. She's legitimately creepy and Beyond the Gates. I want to watch Sunchoke. That looks like it's probably pretty good. I don't know. I'm gonna try and watch all the shit she's done recently. Your Next is also fucking amazing.
It's top notch. I've got the wolf mask sitting in here somewhere.
I watched Your Next on just a whim, where I was just I wanted to watch something new, but I didn't want to watch something I felt I was going to get engrossed in. I was oh, this is it's a dumb slasher movie. And then, immediately, I was nope, I'm fucking, completely engrossed into this.
Damn it.
It's fucking
it
so
got
good.
Me.
I didn't really get any news stories, but I did see Fangoria posted all of the stuff for January that's coming on streaming services.
Oh, yeah.
And so Shudder is getting a bunch of shit.
Always.
Yeah. Most interesting to me is don't torture a duckling, which I've not seen.
That's a good one.
Yeah, I'm kind of on a base level of the Italian giallo movies or whatever.
Yeah.
And I think I'm going to start diving deep into those this year and start watching a bunch of shit. So I'm pretty interested to watch that.
That's probably, I think it's Fulci, right? It's a Fulci movie.
I'm not sure.
His most tame and grounded work.
Mostly I know a good portion of his movies, and then all the Argento stuff.
Yeah.
But I'm gonna try and dig into some of the stuff that wasn't by either of them, and because there's I I've been listening to this podcast called Queer Horror Cult. That it's like takes a look at like horror movies from like a queer like viewpoint, and it's really good. But they do like where they pick like a topic, and then like discuss like 3 movies around that topic. Where they did like one on giallo, they did one on like sex work.
Okay,
and it's pretty good. The hosts are real like engaging and like are pretty like knowledgeable about everything, but like it's just making like it made me want to kind of like dig into like a lot of the Italian horror stuff I haven't seen, so I'm gonna try and do that in between watching all of Nick Cage's movies this year. I am like in the process of trying to figure out how available everything is to see if I can get through all 97 of them.
Oh Jesus.
Oh god, like I'm gonna lose my mind in 2019 completely. But yeah, that's coming to Shudder. Brain Damage, Bloody Birthday, The Void, the 1972 Tales from the Crypt movie, Hellraiser 3.
If you wind up watching The Void, keep your eyes peeled for my name in the credits. Shout out to me.
Like Kickstarter or something?
Yeah.
Nice. I've not seen The Void, so I'm gonna like. I think that was already on like Netflix, but I'm gonna watch it on Shudder because Shudder's awesome.
It's got that very Italian mindset where like the story doesn't fucking matter, like who fucking cares, and it's just a series of really cool things happening.
Yeah, it's one of those movies that I think I've had in my Netflix queue for like ever, but just kind of like I just never got around to. But yeah, I'm definitely gonna watch it now that's on Shudder. The Faculty is gonna be on there, which I'm gonna rewatch.
Oh fuck yes.
Don't Look Now, The Changeling, Cat People.
I've been wanting to watch Cat People forever.
Yeah. I don't have dates. I don't know if these all just hit January 1st, but this is just all basically in January. That stuff will be on Shudder. Netflix is getting nothing super good. The Strangers, The Mummy Returns.
How dare you say The Mummy Returns isn't super good?
Well, not like...
A masterpiece.
I don't know if I ever saw Returns. I saw the first Mummy.
That's Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson as the Scorpion King in it, alright?
Oh, is that what it is? Yeah, I don't think I ever saw that one.
With some really god-awful CGI.
I was gonna say, I've seen like a YouTube clip of the CGI, and it's pretty fucking choice. I Know What You Did Last Summer is coming on there, but I think it's on Shudder if you're gonna watch that, or it might be leaving Shudder.
It might have been pulled because a bunch of Stephen King movies that were on Shudder are now gone, and they're all on Hulu.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. Hulu has got pretty much like Pet Sematary 2, Silver Bull. Oh, Thinner's on there.
Yeah,
Thinner is fucking real dumb, and I'm gonna watch it.
Let's do an episode on Thinner.
Thinner
fucking rules.
Katie, you are being called up for when we do Thinner. So now you got to read that while you're reading it. The first Hellraiser is going to be on Hulu as well, and Children of the Corn and Beetlejuice. Is Mimic a Stephen King movie?
No.
I know that was on
Del Toro.
That was on Shudder, and it just moved to Hulu, so that's why I wondered.
There's a couple of... Because there's the Del Toro Mimic, and then there's some movie that's still on Shudder called The Mimic.
Yeah.
That is like a Japanese movie, I think?
So, I need somebody that is not me or Kit to watch the new Hellraiser that is currently on Netflix.
Please.
And tell us whether we should do it or not, because if it's...
Oh, I've watched it already, and we should.
Oh, God. I
bought it the day it came out. I'm a huge asshole.
God. I everything after 3 is just fucking terrible. And I don't know if I
It's kind of boring, but it's got fascinating ideas.
It's the first one without Doug Bradley, right?
Yes, and new Hellraiser has the weirdest goddamn head I've ever seen.
Which is like, what? Like, you want a regular fucking head for Hellraiser. Like, that's...
Yeah. You got a lumpy head, then all the nails are out of whack, and it's weird.
So... we decided next week that we're going to do a good
Something
movie.
fun.
Yeah. So, this just came to Netflix.
It's one of my favorite bad movies of all time.
I 100% agree. We're gonna watch Jason X.
Yes.
Which fucking rules, and I'm very excited to rewatch it. It's been a couple years.
It's okay, I just wanted his machete back.
This fucking David Cronenberg saying, I want him soft. It's like the fucking...
Oh, yeah.
Ever.
Next week's is gonna rule.
So yeah, it'll be next week. It's on Netflix. I'm sure it's fucking widely available on pretty much...
Don't stream it, you go buy it. Because
Yeah.
it is worth your money.
Yeah, that'll be next week. I'm very excited to fucking rewatch that. I think that's all I got. Don't watch this movie. It sucks. watch Handjob Cabin. Fucking watch that on repeat for an hour and 40 minutes. It'll be a better use of your time. Alright, I hope you suffer, but why?
But why?